Hey, welcome to TamTalk. I'm your host, Tam. Today we're continuing the 30 Days of Video Games with Day 3, the most underrated game. Now, when I first did the 30 Days of Video Games, my answer was Luigi's Mansion. But since then, it's gotten a lot more attention, and it even got a sequel, which I think is really cool. So my answer has officially changed, and that answer is Tomba on the PlayStation 1. This game sounds so nuts on paper. A wild pink-haired boy must recover his grandpa's bracelet by jumping on pigs and birds, visiting old men in their homes, keeping all of his stuff, including baby birds, in his stomach, and making friends with monkeys, dogs, miners, dwarves, and mice. It almost feels like the dev team was like, okay, we're going to make a video game, but first we're going to smoke this entire duffel bag of peyote. Actually, how crazy this game is partly why I love it. Isn't this why we love games in the first place? For the bizarre and fantastical places they take us? I mean, the Mario games are about an Italian plumber fighting a giant monster turtle in a place filled with and named after giant mushrooms. Can you picture that getting the go-ahead today? I love just about everything about this game. The visual aesthetics and how stylized the world and characters are ensure that it always looks good, even when judged by today's standards. Good graphics don't mean nearly as much as good art design. The bright colors make it feel like a light-hearted adventure, and every area feels like a fun, exciting platforming puzzle. There are tons of quests that you stumble upon just by interacting with the environment. Some of them are big, important quests like the main goal of finding your grandpa's bracelet, while some are smaller and simpler like finding a dwarf woman's lost baked potato. I like that even the silly quests feel important, or at the very least feel satisfying to complete. Tomba is a blast to play. From the very moment you acquire the animal dash, you're sprinting on all fours around these great levels, taking huge leaps, slapping onto climbable surfaces, macing enemies, floating down on parasols, swimming around ruins, and biting, eating, or throwing every enemy, item, or collectible you find. It really makes you feel like a wild thing. There's a pretty wide variety of equipment you can find, and there's also a light adventure game aspect where you use items in your inventory in the right place to achieve a goal, finish a quest, or access the next area. Throughout the game, as you capture the evil pigs that use their magic to transform the world, the area associated with that pig will revert back to its normal state, changing the enemies and items found there and even changing the music. It's a fun way to make the player feel like they're making a difference in the world and give the game a sense of progress. The fights with the evil pigs are fun and varied, but one of the absolute best things about this game is the soundtrack. I feel like the mark of a great soundtrack is not just how it makes you feel while you're playing the game, but how long you remember it afterwards. I know someone who is constantly whistling the tunes from Ocarina of Time. To this day, I still sometimes hum some of the songs from Tomba. This music sounds great no matter what instrument you play it on, and seems to fit right into my memories alongside memorable tracks from Warcraft, Zelda, and the Final Fantasy games. A year after Tomba's release, the Tomba series got a sequel called Tomba 2: The Evil Swine Return. I played it and beat it, but it was nowhere near as enjoyable for me as the first game. One of the very first things I noticed was that the music wasn't nearly as fun or memorable. None of the levels felt as tightly designed or endearing as the first game. But worst of all, the new plot revolved around Tomba's childhood friend Tabby being kidnapped, and Tomba having to rescue her with his annoying companion Zippo. If there's anything more irritating than the shrill-voiced floating companion archetype, it's damseling. I loved the idea of Tomba trying to find his grandpa's bracelet. Changing the goal to some helpless girl who never gets developed felt like some boring trash had put on some Tomba skin and snuck into my collection. But there will always be the first game. Honorable mentions for this question: Costume Quest and Kirby's Epic Yarn. I can't stand to see how little love these games get. Costume Quest is the only Halloween game I can really think of, and it was done right. With RPG-style fights, collectible battle stickers, new costume assembly, and 4 unique areas, this one needs to get more love.
Kirby's Epic Yarn is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played, and one of the most creative ideas I've ever seen come out of Nintendo with such perfect execution. It gets some hate for being so easy that you literally can't die, but if I wanted to get my lungs pulled out through my ass, I'd play Dark Souls. If I want to play in an old lady's handbag without getting arrested, I'll play Kirby's Epic Yarn. Everyone watching this right now should go check out both.
So there you have it, the most underrated game. Make sure to share your answers in the comments below. Join us next time for day 4, my guilty pleasure game. Oh yeah. And make sure to subscribe to the channel and maybe throw me a like. See you next time.